Pop chips are some of the healthiest chips out there. Simple. Most chips tend to fry or bake their chips to make their chips. Pop chips, on the other hand, are never fried, unhealthy, and are never baked, undelicious. We take a little heat, add some pressure, and pop. End quote. Fun fact, they have a similar making process of popcorn, of where they get the kernel and you add a little heat to it. But for pop chips, they get a bunch of kernels together and you add some heat and they pop into the chips known as pop chips, kind of like how popcorn pops into popcorn. They make their chips lighter, healthier, and more flavorful. To give them their flavor, they dash the chips with high oleic oils and then cover them in your favorite seasonings and spices. They have a significantly lower calorie count compared to fried and baked chips. The goal behind Pop Chips is for the audience to choose the brand of chips over other chip brands because they are healthier and just as flavorful as others. On their advertisement, they compare how much fat, carbs, protein, and fiber are in their chips to fried and kettle-style chips, or baked chips. They display a stack of each brand, but the catch is the stack of Pop Chips is bigger than the other two. Why? It's because while you would be eating more Pop Chips, the amount of fat, carbs, protein, and fiber is less than the smaller stacks of chips. I will be going into more detail about this later in my speech. Pop Chips wants to persuade their audience to choose Pop Chips, and to go into more detail about how, I will be explaining how I'll be explaining the ethos, pathos, and logos they use in their advertisement to persuade. The ethos behind Pop Chips' advertisement is due to how knowledgeable of the fat and calorie intake of their chips. With Pop Chips being the maker of Pop Chips, it would only make sense they would know how much is actually in it. This makes Pop Chips credible for knowing what and how much comes with their product. To show this, I quote their advertisement. You've got a delicious snack with just 100 calories, 3 grams of fat, and 17 plus chips per served bag. End quote. They made sure to keep this fact in mind when advertising, and that's how they would display their knowledge as the creator of Pop Chips. Now I'll move on to the pathos perspective of this advertisement. The pathos of Pop Chips is all about how the advertisement takes into consideration about how the audience feels when eating chips. The following quotes, "less guilty, more pleasure," and "don't let your friends eat fried," are good examples of this. The first quote depicts how chip eaters usually feel guilty about eating chips, as it is unhealthy. It brings a small sense of disgust and discouragement as they try to enjoy the flavoring and crunch of chips. With Pop Chips being healthy and packed with flavor, those that eat them feel less guilty and feel more pleasure eating them. Now the second quote talks about spreading the word of eating Pop Chips. We already know how healthy they are by now, so why keep it to yourself? Pop Chips is suggesting spreading the joy of eating their brand with the people you know. Finally, I'll be explaining the logos within the advertisement. The logos in the advertisement is all about the health facts that Pop Chips displays between a tall stack of Pop Chips and 2 short stacks of fried and baked chips. Each stack has a description of the amount of fat, carbs, protein, and fiber that they each hold. Like I mentioned, the tallest stack of Pop Chips has less of what I listed, which makes it much more healthier. Allow me to break it down for you. Try to keep up here. The fried chips have 6.6 grams of fat, 10 grams of carbs, 1.3 grams of protein, and 1.3 grams of fiber. The kettle-style chips have 6 grams of fat, 10.6 grams of carbs, 0.6 grams of protein, and 1.3 grams of fiber. Keep in mind that these stacks of chips are the same height or about a thumb high. Meanwhile, the stack of Pop Chips is taller and has 3 grams of fat, 15 grams of carbs, 1 gram of protein, and 1 gram of fiber. Exciting, right? Personally, the fact that they have more carbs is in my favor. As a runner, fueling yourself on carbs before or the day before a race is pretty helpful. I know not everybody favors having so many carbs in their food, but if you're looking to eat something before working or exercising, this is a very valid option. So, those were the facts. Pop Chips has less fat than fried chips, more protein than baked chips, and less fiber than both. This makes them much healthier than the average bag of chips, making it more convincing for their advertisement. This is also the main purpose of the advertisement, to compare and show the statistical facts of their chips to others. In conclusion, I believe that Pop Chips met their goal in advertising themselves. No matter what way you see it, they used ethos, pathos, and logos to persuade people to buy their brand. Whether one strategy is stronger than the other is up to you, but all of them were used in this advertisement. Breaking down their advertisement made me interested in them, so if you can excuse me, I'm going to go find some Pop Chips for myself. Thank you.